Thank you very much, Greg, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So First Vanadium is focused on vanadium in Nevada, one of the best mining jurisdictions in the world. And we have this amazing deposit, this North America's largest and highest grade primary vanadium deposit. So we're well positioned with this great asset. But before I talk about the project and the company, for those that are not familiar with vanadium, I have to do a very, very brief introduction, but come back to my booth I can give you more context. But vanadium is primarily used in the steel business as an alloy to strengthen and lighten steel. So this is a very, very important infrastructural steel. So it makes our buildings and bridges stronger and safer. In rebar, makes our pipelines stronger and safer. And it's also used in transport, in aircraft bodies and chassis of cars to make them lighter and therefore more fuel efficient. So it's very much a modern alloy for our infrastructure. And with $35 trillion of infrastructural projects that have been identified over the next 20 years of dilapidating and infrastructure, vanadium is going to be a part of that growth. It's also an ideal battery metal in these industrial size VRB batteries that you may have been hearing about, because it's a very small consumption at this point of the vanadium market, but it is growing. It's only 5%, and it's only just getting commercialized here in the last 2 years. In fact, I've seen, as of last year, there was only 2 projects that I was aware of, and in the last 6 months, another 6 have come on. So there's 3, and these are for large storage of electricity in farms of these batteries that store megawatts of power. So it's good for backup, and it can also charge and service hundreds of thousands of homes in a residential situation. So there's 3 projects in China that have been built or in construction, 2 in Australia, 1 in Saudi Arabia, 1 in California that's just been completed, and 1 in the UK. So these things are now popping up. And this is going to have a very, very interesting impact on vanadium. And there's also applications. There's always been a problem with wind and solar, is that you get the power in off times when you don't really need to use that power. You need to be able to store it. Storage was never part of that initial stage of those projects. Vanadium is a solution to that storage for those types of projects too. So please come by my booth. I can tell you a lot more about vanadium and its context. It was in 2018, it was the best performing metal. It certainly has come off a lot since then, but there was a note by BMO that said the second half of this year, the metal prices are going to increase again on vanadium. But turning to our company, we've got a very high quality company here. It ticks off all the boxes that most investors are looking for. Good share structure, good team, good project. We've got 39 million shares outstanding. We've got $1 million in cash. We just announced a private placement on Tuesday of $1 million just to improve our balance sheet a little bit more with very little dilution. We've got that 80% filled. So if you're interested, you come up to me, and if you'd like a piece of it, we can arrange that. The team this is an exceptional technical team for a junior of this size. We've got actually over 400 years of very senior engineering and geological people in our group. We've got a construction engineer who's built 20 mines in North and South America. We've got 2 mining engineers who have operated mines for major companies, 4 metallurgists, myself a geologist, successful in finding gold for BHP. And then the project itself, I should turn to that because the rest of the talk will be about that. Many attributes to this project that are enviable when you're looking for a deposit. Location being one of the most significant ones. This is in the Carlin Gold Trend. So we're actually 6 miles away from a major highway, a major rail hub, mining communities, And within 30 miles of two massive mineral processing plants for Barrick and Newmont, you can't get a better situation than this. And that's obviously going to have a big impact on lowering costs going forward. Some of the other fundamentals that we all look for that we have for a good prospect is in here. This is now a systematically drilled out deposit. I shouldn't say drilled out. There's still room for it to expand, so there is some value potential. We put out a resource from our drilling, 2 drill campaigns 2 months ago. It was a very strong one. 80% of that resource is in indicated. And I'll show you a little bit more about that. These are high vanadium grades in our deposit, typically about 0.6, but we can get up to 1.5% vanadium. That's atypical of this type of deposit, which generally run 0.2, 0.3% V2O5. Again, an ideal situation, the way it lies, is flat to shallow dipping and near surface, so ideal for large-scale open pit mining. Very low stripping ratio, 2.5 to 1. And the rock is soft and broken already, so from explosives, mining, crushing and grinding aspect, it's a very, very inexpensive situation. And our metallurgical work, we've been progressing with that. We've got through our variability testing on it, we get an average of 95% of the vanadium to be extracted out of the rock into solution through a system of acid leach and pressure oxidation. And we're still finalizing our flow sheet for the SX part, or the solvent extraction part, to get the vanadium out into a product that can be sold. That's coming up in the next month and a half to 2 months to fine-tune our flow sheet. Very simple geology. The lower picture, this is the valley it's in. It basically follows, it's exposed on either side in a depth here in the valley. It's running quite large, these types of sedimentary deposits. It's over 2 kilometers in this direction, 600 meters this way, and 35 meters thick. And there I am. This outcrop is over here. I'm looking over here is over here. So it's a very, very simple geology and significant size. We did 2 drill campaigns to add to the existing drill base that Union Carbide did in the 60s. We got excellent results, confirmed all the geology, improved things, infilled. You can see from this diagram, this is the 2 kilometer stretch. You can see high density drilling, so we've got good confidence on the grades. And these are some examples of grades starting right from surface. And these are grades exceptional. As I mentioned, 0.2 is more typical, 0.3 is more typical of these shale deposits. The mineral resource, substantial at 0.3 cutoff. This is a 32 million ton deposit, 0.62, 380 million pounds of vanadium at current metal prices. That's $3.5 billion of in situ value, with lots of high grade that's within the deposit as well. So this is a good, solid project. There's no question about the resource. Now moving through the metallurgical part, and obviously the next step after that is to go through a PEA, an economic study, which we should be launching this summer and taking us, getting the results before the end of the year. So that concludes it. Certainly come back and see us, talk about the private placement. It's at 40 cents with a full warrant, and it's 80% filled already, so please come by and hear about vanadium and more about our story. Thank you very much.